Hey guys, back with another stream. A few tweaks earlier. I hope you're still here. We've started. I did my Google Translate and it was let's start. So here we are, we're started. Right, so we have made changes. We have made a lot of changes actually. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a tweak to this while we're at it. Right, I don't know why I'm doing this because this is not going to be a final asset, but you know, it kind of annoys you when it just doesn't quite look right. So we'll quickly do this. And that was too far. That's good enough for now. Okay, so list of the changes made is that number one, we have updated the instance meshes. Right, I'll let you see what was going on and how it's now fixed. Okay, so these that's not what I meant to do. We wanted to pause it. Okay, so these barrels did not have the instance mesh version, did not have a material, right? So that was one thing. Number two, when we looked at this, the endpoint of the spliner was not set. Okay, so if we check spliner, we now have the end actor is filled in. Okay, that's two major changes there. Now let's look at the first one and see what we did. Basically, these are the kind of fixes that you're never going to find unless you come across it in some weird way, which is exactly what happened. I think it was last night. So a couple of changes I made were last night, a couple of changes I made were this morning to get things working, and basically what it was, if we go into our it's not going to be there. It's probably going to be in here. Yep. So this base material, right? This is the one that's being used for, actually it might not be that one. Let's have a check. It might be that one. Yeah, this is just one to keep an eye out for, guys, if you're ever doing this and you're using instance meshes. Right, we'll have a look at this one anyway, right? And if it's not this one, we'll basically having a look at another. So I am pretty sure it's this base material here. And if we come down, you can see there's a list of usage. So it's used with skeletal meshes, used with blah 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 blah, and what wasn't ticked was used with instant static mesh. Right, so all I did was tick that and the meshes then started working, or sorry, material started working on the meshes. Okay, now the next point was that if you've been following the stream at all for the last couple of days, you'll know that we were having issues with saving the game, or at least certain parts of it. Now, what we ended up doing was we contacted the person who did the easy multi-save, and explained the issue, and he basically came up with the answer, which was to use a soft object reference. Okay, so the way that now works is, if we have a look at it, it's in the spliner, I believe. So if we look at the end actor, right, and we look at the set, what we've now done is created a soft reference right here, set it to save, and then when we come back in, I should really put this in the title from now on. Right, the game is a cross between Factorial, Satisfactory, Surviving Mars with a hint of RimWorld. Okay? That's the fast answer. So basically when we come in here and redraw the spline, we actually take it and reset up the reference from the soft reference. And then that allows all our code to run as usual. Okay? So I shall demonstrate, if one remembers from yesterday, when a product was getting returned to the spline itself did not have an end point. Therefore, when the product reached the end of the spline, it wasn't being passed into the supply module, and therefore all the buildings weren't functioning properly. So we can have a look at this now, right? So basically when our product moves along the spline or gets replaced back on the spline and it reaches the end of the spline, it's going to fire this and break here, and then we can check if this is valid or not. And then if it is valid, we transfer the item into the supply of the building. Okay? So let's have a look at that in action. If we continue and then pause, you'll notice that barrels have been put here, here, and here. So these are going back on the spline at the exact point where they were when the game was saved. Okay? And then when this reaches the end of this spline, it should fire this. So if we press play, we can watch them going along, and then they reach the end of the spline, and bang. Right? Now, the issue we were having for the past couple of days was that this, when we were loading from a save game, this reference was empty, right? But now we have our correct reference. So now, basically, our supply is now being filled up. Okay? So we can resume that. And we can kind of check this by looking at the refiner, right? And its output component should now be filling up. And there it is, iron ore, we have 4. Right, so the bauxite, this is bauxite that's moving along the conveyor belt. Then it's getting processed here, right, which you will see in a minute. When this goes in here, we should see some smoke. That's getting processed, and it goes into here. So this is gradually going up. Okay? So what we can actually do here is we can build a smelter. And then we can build our fabricator. And finally, we can build research place. Okay, and we can then spin this around, and this isn't active yet. Spin that around. Okay, we can set this to iron. We can set that to research. We don't need to set this, but we can bring up our research tree and start researching that. It's not going to research until it actually gets fed with research tubes. So now what we can do is we can build our conveyor belts to here. We can build it to here, and finally we can build it to here, and there we go. And we can see our other barrels which aren't being done. Now I'm not 100% sure if we're getting the correct right. So if we stop that for now, I should have saved it. Damn it. Never mind. Right, so we're using a material on the test tube, okay? And that test tube is somewhere. We're going to look for that test tube and find out where we actually store the mesh. Okay, now there's a couple of places it could be. It could be in here, but I don't think so. Now, right, so that kind of answers my question. It's in recipes. So we have E items and we have DT items. Right, so this is our items, and this is our mesh. Right, so this should be green. So if we open this up and we go to the textures, right, and we double click on that texture, and then we go to water, and then we open the water, then basically what we can do here is come down and used with instant static mesh. Okay? Then we can save that. Now, what we want to do is do the exact same thing for our aluminium sheet, copper sheet. All the materials we need to set it to be used with a static mesh where we actually use it as a static mesh. Okay, so we'll just wait on this saving a bit. So what's everybody up to? Has anybody got any interesting project they're working on that they would like to share with us? Or Jan, Luke, are you a developer, indie developer or anything? What are you up to? Let us know. We've not heard from Kofi yet today. So there's a good question. Where's Kofi in the chat? So we'll shut down these ones, right? Then we shall get our DT, not that one. It's DT items, I believe. Right, so we've got to look at iron sheets, right? And we've got to look at this one. Then we've got to open that. And then in our material, that's an instance. Except it's not. Right, so we're basically going to have to do the same here and use the instant static mesh. Save that. Then we're going to have to do the same with the copper sheet, which is here, I believe. So we can open that up and do the exact same thing. Save that and save this. Right. And there's the one other barrel that I wanted to check on. It's DTI I was looking at. It was this other. I'm just checking if all of these barrels, 3 and 7, all use the same material, right? Is the premise here. So I use that barrel for some things, and this might not use the same material, so I'm just going to check. I believe it does. These all seem to use the same base material, so but we'll just check it anyway because that's the thing to do. Yep, that's fine. And finally, barrel 3. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any difference, but better safe than sorry, you know. I'm pretty sure these are all going to use the same base material. Yeah, that's just a different colour and base material. Right, so we're happy with that. What we're going to do is we're going to close the whole thing off. And we're going to check to make sure that what we were doing all now works. So we can click continue, right? And now we can rebuild our buildings. Let's build them back a bit. Right, it's not going to make any difference. Now, there is one change that I realise we're going to have to do. In fact, let's stop it and do it. Right, now, the one other issue we have is that when we bring up when we do the research tree, it isn't bringing up the initial value for the amount progressed. Okay, so what we need to do is go in here and then check out our widgets. So I'm pretty sure it's the research button. Yeah, this is the thing that gets filled in, right? And it's a progress bar, and we want to find the references, and that is the set percentage. So it only gets done there. Right? So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste, copy, I'm not going to do that at all, right? Not going to do that, bad idea. Right, what we're actually going to do is we're going to call this and then set it on a timer after that so that it immediately updates the progress and gives us what we want in there when we bring it up. Okay? So we can do that. Now, this kind of brings me to the fact of whether or not I do this at the start and set up a controller reference. What do you guys think? Set up a reference at the start, or... And this is only going to fire once every 3 seconds. I suppose, I suppose. Right, we'll do that. We'll do this at the start, as usual. Have we got an owner? Nah. Okay, whatever. So what we'll do is promote to variable. Right, we'll just set this to controller. Then this can just go in here. This can go in here. And then we can set this back up here and tidy it all up and make it look kind of organised. There we go. Right, and now what we can do is we can delete this. We can drag this in here. We can drag that here. And we get the controller and it can go there. Then we can do that underneath. And there we go. And that is us all sorted out. So, that was the other little thing. Excuse me a minute while I get a drink of my orange. Which tastes exactly like water. Right. I think I need to go and give it a stir. It's got like, you know, the diluting powder, the fruity powder stuff. Anyway, and then I froze it, but didn't work. That wasn't an Unreal Engine tip, by the way. That was a don't freeze your powdery drink advice. Right, anyway. So now, what we can do is we can go continue. We have all our stuff on the track doing well. We can make our smelter. We can make our other thing, and we can make our science. Then we can spin this round. I mean, we don't need to spin it around, it's just because it makes it easier, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to save everything and then see if everything gets back to the way it should be when we load it back in, right? So everything should basically run when we plug it back in, okay? That's the theory. So we can join these up again, and there's another little job for us to do that I've just noticed that I keep thinking about doing but never actually get around to doing it, and that's because we've had these issues with saving. which have kind of taken priority, so we've been working on that. Okay, so we see all our lovely barrels coming out of there. And I'm pretty sure they haven't got the horrible, the blocky default. Pretty sure they haven't. And here comes our iron, which look kind of coppery, but it's because of the, it's basically because of the reflection and the lighting. Now we should actually get a something coming out here, and there we go, we've got our green test tube. Okay, now this shouldn't go too fast. Right, so now we should be able to hit research. Ah, we didn't hit research. And we have people banging about outside, which is always nice. And is the research actually happening? It should be. So let's have a look at our BPC. Wait till I find what I'm looking for. Okay, I had to turn the mic off there for a second because the dog was having a fit at people outside. But anyway, so what we want to actually do is check on this to see if it is running. So if we step over, step over, step over, step over that, research available is false. Right? So it looks like our supply is nothing at the moment. Okay. Did that break there? I believe it did. Right, so our supply, here we go. So we have our supply here. That's the comp input. We don't have that. Now, if it jumps straight out of here, it didn't. Right, so that's false. Right, so whatever's going in, yeah, I kind of understand what's happened here. it's something that we're going to have a look at. But having said that, right, let's do that again. Right, so we need our smelter, and we need fabricator, and we need our that, and this we set to that, this we set to that, and then what we do is we set our research, we close that. Now this is going to have to be fixed because it's not quite right, so that might be one of the things we work on in a second. Right, we'll close that, we'll turn these round. Oh. Right, we're going to disable that, resume, we're going to disable that and resume. Right, so we can draw our conveyor belts back in. Right, then draw this one. Right, we're going to start fixing a couple of things, right? See when they click on this button, this should disappear, okay? So we definitely have all of this stuff sorted out. That's on research type 1. We have set our research for researching. So if we close that, now we're going to save it. So we hit the save button and that's it saved. Then we have all our nice little aluminium things going along. Which we should probably have made a bit thicker, but hey ho. So that's another thing we need to sort out. When we actually connect the things onto the end, we shouldn't use the rotation of the final actual thing. We should use the rotation of what it already is. Right. So now if we click on that, yeah, we've got our little line, right? Because we've only done one, and if we click on it again, it's immediately brought back up. Okay. So we can have a look at that. That works nicely. We should be able to bring it up now, and it's gone up a bit, which it should do, and that's all good. that's pretty much all working as expected. Now I'm going to save that. Right, we've saved that. And now we shall stop this and we'll fix a couple of things. Right, now let me explain the first thing I'm going to fix, and we shall take a look at it, find out what it is. So you'll notice that when this goes in, it goes to a funky angle, right? And then you'll see the barrel goes in a funky angle, right? So the thing we want to fix is to stop it doing that and just go straight in. Okay, you'll see again, it goes up to a funky angle, which we don't really want, right? So, when we finish the spline is where the issue is, okay? So, if we go to your spliner, right, BP spliner, and we're basically looking at finish the spline, okay, which is this thing here. And we basically, when we get the final point, we need to do the rotation. Or in fact, not even the rotation as such. Well, yeah, it actually is. Right? So this might be, this actually might be a little bit more difficult than it actually seems. This X, Y, and Z, the last point, shouldn't be like the final right. Let's have a look at this. So it's basically when we tidy up the spline. Okay. And we're adding the spline points. Right, so we add all the spline points, right? And now what we do is we draw the spline. draw the final spline. Right? So we clear the spline. We add the mesh components. We do all that stuff, right? And it looks to me alright, I think this one's have a serious think about this one first, because there isn't anywhere that I can see that we're actually doing anything kind of weird. It might actually just be right. This part here is just basically testing. This is testing some stuff, so we can remove that, right? We could basically do these and just set the Z's to be the same on everything. Or, actually, you know what we could do? If we save that, right? What we could do is we could go to, like, our, let's say our refiner, okay? Let's say it's our refiner. So we go to build-ins and we go to refiner, right? Then basically this is the thing that sets the endpoint, right? Here it's here, endpoint. Okay, so for the refiner, we'll just do this for the refiner and we'll see the result. Okay, so we'll break this, right? And then what we'll do is we'll split this pin, then we'll split this pin, right? And I am pretty sure that I set everything to 50, right? So if I set that to 50, right, then we should be able to, this should work. Well, obviously we'll have to actually click new game, and I believe this is going to be called SB8, right? So if we do our miner, our probes, and then we build our refiner, right? Then basically once we've done this, we can check it, right? So we'll have to wait on this becoming active. And you'll see now there's no weird crap, right? except that was kind of weird because of the way it did it there. But the likes of that is for polishing. But that's straightened up, so that worked. Okay, so we can actually fix that in one place. So basically what we want to do is take that off, recombine, then we can do that. Right, can save that, and if we go back into our spliner, okay, and when we do the final spline, and we take this end point, right, what we can do is we can call this end point Z fixed, and that's going to be a vector, right? And then when we come in here, we can set this, we can split the pin, this is actually going to tidy this up a bit as well, right? So we can do that, then we can break that, and we can split this and go X, Y, and 50, right? And then we can actually just plug it straight back in there. We could have actually removed these yellow lines altogether, which we could do, right? We can do that, we can do that, and we can do that, and then we can plug that in there, and we can plug it in there, and that's going to do the exact same job. Okay, right, and that's one thing fixed already. So what's the next fix? Well, the next fix is, I'm going to have to demonstrate it. Actually, no I don't. If you remember, guys, it's the menu build button, right? It's when we click on to build a button, build something, right? Or sorry, build a spline, right? So when we build this, click on the spline button, we want that to go, that menu to go away. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that, but that's going to be after I have a quick cigarette. So stick around, guys, and we'll fix these issues. Have a look at the screen and you'll see some links to some things I've done, and I'll be back in 2. Okay guys, we're back and let's take a look at this now, shall we? So we are looking at the connector menu. Okay, so this should be the button here. So any button we press, if we click it, now I'm not 100% sure about this event tick, but we'll worry about that later. So on click, we build it, build it, build it, build it, build it, do all that stuff, and then get, do we have, can we get, I wonder, let's try it, get owner, let's actually get parent, get parent, and remove from parent. Right, and we probably need to do this as well for the buildings, but we'll see how this works first. We'll try this out. And I'm worried, where's Kofi? So if we do that and click that, or that one disappears. Actually, you'll notice that all of these have disappeared, but we have not got, right, so we need to take this in another direction. So get all widgets of class, and we are going to get scroll box conveyor. Then basically for each we're going to say remove from parent. Remove from parent. Okay. Save that. And now we shall try that. Okay. So it works with this, but for some reason it does not work with the spliner. Which would mean that we need to do it here as well. Okay. So the easiest way to do this in this case would be basically do this and then grab a reroute node and then basically join that on up here. Right, then just move this back a bit. There you go. Now, this being the case, we want some sort of message. Okay. So, yeah. We want some sort of message on the screen to tell you what you're expected to do next. Okay? But that might actually be for another day. I mean, it could be that we change the cursor. We could do it like that, right? Which wouldn't be such a bad idea. But we'll leave it for now, right? The main issue here was that basically we remove this as soon as we build something. Now, the next point is that the case with buildings? Yeah, it is, right? So we don't want that either. So that's fine. Go away for now. So we basically want the same thing in our individual buildings. Button, right? So this is our button, and these ones all work the same. So all we need to do here is get all widgets of class. Has this got a... Nope. I was wondering if we'd pass the parent in. So this is scroll box building selector. Then we do a for each. Then we do a remove from parent. Okay. And we'll see if there's any... Nope. Right. So that's good. So that's now going to work for them all. The buildings and the connectors, even when we add some more. So if we click on that, that obviously disappears and we can build. That's good. Okay. So that's all well and good. Okay. So the next thing which again might be a bit of a stretch, could be that when we're adding conveyors, right, I'll show you this here. right? Now we're going to have to slightly change this as well. Right, so the point being, say we are building a conveyor belt from here to here, okay? Now the issue is, I'll show you, if we click on the conveyor, it still lights up everything, okay? What I really want it to do is when we highlight over this, it lights up, okay? That is the issue that we want to resolve. We don't want to hover on this. We want to hover on this. Now, the thing that's going to help us here is going to be our current game mode, okay? So, what we have to do, if we, I want to check on something here, guys. Right, so if we draw that there, right, now you'll notice that doesn't highlight. So basically we've got the code already there, that when we hover over like the refiner, let's say, let's destroy all. So here's the cursor thing, and that sets the emissive. And switches it on and off, right? And what we want is the exact same thing for the plane. Okay? Except it's going to be on begin cursor over. Right? And we're going to do the exact same thing as above, except there should be another material here. So we'll duplicate that, and this is actually going to be material red arrow. Right? And that is going to go in here. Then we're going to do this. We're going to duplicate that. We could have done this as a flip-flop, in fact, but we're not going to worry about that. That goes in there. That goes in there. Okay. And this material green arrow, we're going to find the references on this, and then when we set it, we're going to do this again. Right? We're going to move this out of the way. We keep moving this. For some reason I keep it. Right? So we're going to do exactly the same thing here, except we're going to set this right. Then we're going to grab plane 1, and then we're going to set the material for that. Okay, and that's going to go in there, that's going to go in there, and that's basically it. Then we do that, then we check that and put that there. Okay, then we move that to there, we move that to there, move that down, move that down a bit, move this up a bit, not quite as much up a bit, put that there, and then put that there. And now what we do is actually is we find out what the mode is when we actually click to start a spline. Right, now I'm going to guess that it is select spline start object, but it might not be. So if we go into our controller, alright, if we go up to our controller, and we should have our little event tick here, which we do. We're going to delete all this, right? Then we're going to get current game mode. We're going to do that, then we're going to put that in there. Okay, so we can now press play, continue. We're in normal mode, right? If we click a building, okay, whoa, that's not right. That ain't right. Go back to our refiner. Okay, so if we go back to our refiner, Right, so that's the first one. This should be rose red. Save that. Okay, so that should be a little bit more like it. And we have our red. Nothing's happening there. We're on normal. So let's look at it from the normal direction we do, which is like that. So if we click on our conveyors, there we go. That doesn't light up. And we don't want this to light up at all, right? So basically what we do I'm guessing right, okay, we'll check that out in a minute. If we go to the refiner again, right, that's on clicked. Right, that's not to do with it. This is setting our emissives. So this makes life a bit easier because it's in our base building. Okay. So we basically do this again. And we say select start object. And what we shall do to make it simple is just move this along here and then basically do a branch. Right, we could have done that as like a NOR, I believe. But basically this would work anyway. So what we can do is we can test this again. And get this working, and we'll check it's working. Okay, so lighten up. Then if we click here and here, it still lights up and it stays lit up. Okay. Ah, wait a minute. Got to do the same thing here. Right, so okay. So we basically do the same thing. And that goes there. We can align these all to the left. Do it like that. Okay. So that should solve that issue. So we'll check that out again and see where we are. Okay, now we select conveyors and then that's now not doing anything. That emissive should be set to 0 to start with. It seems to be set. Let's test that again. I'm not 100% sure about that. Are we setting the emissive when we do it? I don't believe so. It's not in base building anyway, it's in refiner. Emissive equals 10, emissive equals 0. 10 equals 0, and we're not setting it anywhere at the top, that's for sure. Right, element 0, nothing getting set. Right, so it should be 0 by default. Right, now it's not. Right, which means that the actual instance, right, is not. So that's the first one, and this is the second one. So we want to go here and double click that, and then hit 0. And then as you can see, that one's set to 0 as well, right? So that'll fix that issue. And we're fairly flying through fixing issues today. And we can now do that. We don't need that anymore. Right guys, you think it's time for a big test to see if everything's kind of working? I would believe so. Right, so let's do that then, shall we? So what have we fixed today? We've fixed the update to the research. We've fixed the save game. We cleared now the scroll boxes, selection boxes when we click on a building or click on a conveyor or combiner, etc. we've fixed the red arrows coming out, and yeah, we'll fix quite a few things. So this is going to be SP9, and the first thing we're going to do is build our thing there. And yeah, this is feeling a lot better with just those little changes I made. This is feeling 100% more as it should feel. Right? Waiting this to become ready, and it is. So now, if we click on that, close that, open up our research, click on that, close that, and now we do conveyor, that one, and of course that now doesn't work for a very good reason, of course. And that's because one clicked this one. So this should now be plane 1, right, on clicked. So that should go, that should go, and that should go. These can move to here. This can move to here. And this can move to here. Save that. So let's try that again. Oh, why did I not save it? Right, well, we can continue anyway, right? And oh, it didn't give us much space there. Okay, well, let's test our little. Oh, that's not going to give us the money back. Right, stop that. Play. Continue. Right, so start with the probes, which for some reason didn't want to work there. Oh, it has. It's done it down here somewhere. Right. So we're going to do that. Then that. then this one here, and then finally our researchy thing. Then we're going to spin that round, spin that round, spin that round. Spin that round. And now we're going to save that. Well, actually, you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to do that. Then we're going to select our research, close that, and then we're going to save it. And then we're going to do our conveyor. Beautiful. Right, and again, that one's not working because we've not done that one yet. Okay. So we're going to close that, and close that, right? Then we're going to go to our buildings, and we are going to open, well, first of all, we're going to close that. So we're going to open our smelter. Okay. And so the first thing we do is we duplicate this. Then we say red. And hit return. Then we duplicate that. Then we say arrow red. Then we set this to here. And then we set this material to here. Then this goes in here. This goes in here. Then we drag the whole lot over to here. Join it up, then straighten this up, right? So we save that, and then we do this part again. So we get plane one, right? And on begin cursor over. Then we do on cursor end. We drag these over here. Then we give this a little bit of space. And we copy that. Join that up. we drag this in, get this material, and then this goes in here. Right. Then next thing we do is we duplicate that. And then we duplicate that. But it's not add to spline. It is select spline start. Then we do that. And we don't do that. We do that. And we delete this. And we put this in its place. Alright. So that does all of our interesting stuff. So we'll just check this against the refiner, okay? So that's that. Yep, that's what we want. Then the next thing we do is well, an actual, yeah, it's the refiner, okay, right. So we want this one, and it should be this one here. No, wrong. It's on the event clicked. So it's this one. Then it's going to go right to the bottom, as per usual. Okay. So this should go here. Then these should be removed. Remove that and that. Then get them out of the way and move these up here. Save that. Now the bit I'm wondering about is the checks at the start to find out if we're in that mode or not. I can't exactly remember whether those were. Right, but that looks like we've got it sorted out for the refiner. So what we'll do is we'll press play, and if all is well, which it's not, oh yeah, it's because it wasn't active yet. And there we go. So that's fine. And now we want the same to be done for the fabricator. Now these are all have to be individually done because plane 0 and plane 1 don't necessarily exist on every single in every single building type. Like some will have 0, some will have 1, some will have 2 of 1 for a multi-input recipe, and if I ever want to do multi-output then they might have 2 as well. So this is why I have to do it for every single individual building type, but it's not that bad. I mean, certainly the base building helps a lot, being able to switch off the main highlighter. That certainly does us a treat. Right, so fabricator, I suppose. Like, we don't need to do it for the research station because the research station doesn't output anything. It outputs research, which isn't an actual product. It just progresses the research tree, so that doesn't really need one, right? So there's that, which makes things life a bit easier, but you can't help. Sometimes there's a bit of repeat work to be done. It's just the way of the world. You sometimes can't avoid it. So in plane 1, oh, we've already got a plane clicked. What's that doing? End spline? No. Right, so it's this one here. Right, we're going to... That's got another plane. This has got 2 inputs. So this is a bit of a change, right? Hey XeWoo, how you doing, mate? Turning the mic off there just because it's dogs barking now. Right, so what we want to do, this is a bit different. So that's plane 0. That's plane 1 and that's plane 1, but that's going to be pretty darn... So this is the input and these are the outputs. Right, so what I think I'll do is I'll rename these to 001. Right, and this can be 002, and then this one, going by the others, is plane underscore 0. Right, so we'll reset all of them and that should make it a bit easier. Now, in actual fact, this is the one that we want to do. Right? So, on begin cursor, on end cursor, and we're going to need that on clicked. Right? And in actual fact, this is going to have to be copied for the second. This is going to be needed for the second one. Right? So we'll leave a bit of space there. And that's maybe a job for off stream. Yeah, it probably is, isn't it? So what we'll do is we'll grab all this and this and we'll paste and we'll drag down to here and we'll drag and paste and we'll drag down to here. Okay, we'll straighten that up. We'll bring this in, and we shall delete that. Bring this in, drag it in a little bit, then we shall duplicate it and drag it up here. That goes there. This deletes. Then we change this to select start object. We drag that there. That's good. We now drag this up, and more up. It goes all the way to here. Then we disconnect these to 3. Hey, Kofi. I'm good. I was asking about you earlier. Where were you? I was worried. I was worried for you, son. I am fine today, by the way. I am good. We are making progress. Game is saving properly now. All the barrels are going on the right places. The products, anyway. Everything's good. Yeah. Disgrace. An absolute disgrace that you're late for tonight. For today, this afternoon anyway. I think I might have to give you a benefit of doubt on this one, considering the fact that you're here every single day. So I might just have to give you a pass for today. This goes here. We delete that. Plug that in there. Plug that in there. Plug that in there. That in there. Then we drag this over here. Drag it up. And that should be us. Instance red, which is correct. Save that. And I believe that's us. I believe we're good. That's all those things fixed. Right, so basically now we should be able to click here. Yeah, I've got to wait till it's active. And there we go. Beautiful. There we go. Excellent. Then the whole thing lights up, which is perfect. And I think what we'll do, as far as the fabricator goes, is we shall set up our other right, this one right. Well, if you needed to sleep, you needed to sleep. That's just the way it is. Right, what we're going to do here, right, now we could do this. Right, let's just do something weird here. This might just work. I may change it, right? I know there's a possible issue here, but we're going to go for it and see if it actually works. Right? It might just work. So save that, and then what we need to do right. Okay. So that's position input, right? So, sorry, that's position output. Okay, for this one, we're probably going to need something else. Right? And this is clicked plane 0. Yeah. So we've actually already done these. Okay. For the two different splines. But what we haven't done is done the secondary input spline, sorry. Right, so this one is the one we haven't done. Right, so we need to basically say on begin, then click on it again, and on end. And then bring this down a bit. And then what we'll do is we'll actually put them up here. Because fundamentally they're the same as these. Right, so what we can do is copy that and that and that, duplicate it, drag it down to here, now we may want to change this, right? We may want to change this, but for the moment we know it will work, right? So we can test this by building a spline out of here, right? And then basically if we were to do it to here, and then you'll see that the material lights up for them both, right? And there we go. Okay. So That's all the little fixes today. We've stopped at highlighting when it's building a spline, which is annoying. We've stopped at, like, we've removed the menu when we're doing this, which is good. Right? We did a lot of fixes to the system, and it's all going well. That's obviously going to be bauxite, right? We've started at only highlighting the red. That's going to... Right, so we need to do the minor on the out. Right, okay, well, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. Right, so we open up our minor. Right, and we've got our plane. And it's on begin. Then we do the same again on end. And then we're going to do the same again and on clicked. Right? So this doesn't have the code. So we're going to have to go into like one of the other ones. So we'll go into here. We'll select that. And that should not be, maybe it should be. Right, we can test that out later, right? But actually it shouldn't be. Let's have a look here. The plane 2 is output, so that's select, yeah, that's right. So we should actually grab this stuff here, copy that, go to your minor, paste that. Hey Batblade, how you doing, mate? Right, so we put this in here. Right, and we're gonna have to check this. Okay. Right, it looks like our minor we're not really doing anything with. We don't even have a begin play. Right, so we're gonna have to deal with that. Oh, we do. Right, okay, whatever. Right. So the question is, where do we set this material, if at all? And what is it used for? So let's find the references on this. Get material. And it's set to the gas. Okay, whatever, so it's not that one. So what we're going to do is, it's a material instance, which is exactly what we want. So we'll just duplicate that. And we'll call it matte red arrows. Accept. Right. So there's that. And save that. And it's going to give us that error. I thought it might. So we'll bring these in. And doesn't seem to want to do that. Alright, so set. Yeah, it is a material instance, so I don't know why it's not liking that very much. But for the purposes of this, what we'll do is we shall drag this out a bit. Okay. Drag that out a bit. That red arrow. Right, whatever. Right, whatever. Alright, so we've got to create dynamic material instance. And this is arrows red. And then that goes there. Then we set this. Then this goes in here. And then we've got one more thing to do, which is we get the plane, then we set the material. Okay, so that goes there. Then we continue on. Oh, sorry, this goes in here. Right, so that's the first part. And now we need to plug that in. That still doesn't want to do it. For whatever reason. Does this have to be like a dynamic material? Let's have a look at this and see what it's set up as, eh? Right, material instance, dynamic. Yeah, it has to be, so it has to be set up as a material dynamic instance. Material dynamic. Right. Okay, whatever. That can now go in there. That can now go in here. We can drag that up, save it. That's everything fine. Then we need to drag this up, up, up to here. And then that can go, and it can get replaced by that. Save that. And that should be us. So when we do our conveyor, we need to wait till it lights up, of course, till it becomes active. Come on. Come on. Okay. It's not doing the cursor over. Or is it? Let's see if it's doing the cursor over thing. Apparently not. Okay, well, I'm going to end the stream here for today, this afternoon. I'll be back in 4 hours time. If you've popped by, thank you very much for staying and watching, whatever. I'm very much appreciated, as well as, you know, lighten up the chat a bit. And if you want to support the channel, check out the description. You can join the Discord, look at the Patreon, look at my previous game on Steam, and I hope to see you all again. So thanks for popping by, and I'll catch you at 8 Central tonight.